could be easy if you were someone else. Is there a voice inside your mind that reminds you all the time the ways you're broken? Has it left you hopeless? It can be a hard, hard thing, just being alive.
I like it.
It can be a dark, dark thing when you're trying to hide.
Really? Yeah.
Every story, every scar, you love the way you are. There's nothing you need to prove, 'cause heaven knows your name. There's a reason you were made, fearfully and wonderfully. Has anybody told you that you'd never be enough? Has anybody told you that you'd never measure up? Are you just trying to escape, trying to run from all the pain of being human? Can you make it through it? Every story, every scar, you love the way you are. There's nothing you need to prove, 'cause heaven knows your name. There's a reason you were made, fearfully and wonderfully. Fearfully and wonderfully. Don't give up, don't give up. He's not giving up on you, not giving up on you. Don't give up, don't give up. He's not giving up on you, not giving up on you. It can be a hard, hard thing, just being alive. It can be a dark, dark thing you're trying to hide. Every story, every scar, you love the way you are. There's nothing you need to prove, 'cause heaven knows your name. There's a reason you were made, fearfully and wonderfully. Fearfully and wonderfully, Don't give up, don't give up. He's not giving up on you, not giving up on you.
Good morning, Fort Point. How's everybody doing today? Yeah, welcome, welcome. We have a couple minutes here before we officially get started, so if you want to pull out your phones, we're going to have a little fun this morning. We got some trivia, some Titanic-based trivia. I don't know if you're familiar with the Titanic, but sometimes life feels like the Titanic. But if you want to pull out your phones, you'll see the instructions there on the screen. You go to ccg.buzz and you put in the code word there, and then come up with your name. I don't know if I'm back there. If you want to make sure it doesn't say trivial names, put it on the actual names there, Miss Deb. I don't think I took care of that this morning. I may have forgotten. But we like to take the first couple minutes as people are wandering in, finding parking spots, just to have a little fun. So this is a group game we get to play against each other in here, all in good fun. And a lot of times I try to give away a gift card to Love Handles, but I always forget where I put it. So if you win, unless you're Adam. Adam doesn't get to. He's won too many. He's exceeded his limit of gift cards he's allowed to win there. But ccg.buzz is the website you're going to go to, and you're going to put in that code, and we're going to see how much you know about the Titanic. Is that Miss Judy? Miss Judy, are you back? Miss Judy's back! Yes! All right. Oh, happy day. We're excited about that. Sad for her, because that means she's not at her camp anymore, but happy for us, I'm sure. All right, is everybody getting there at your leisure there? Do, 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 do. Feel like we should have Jaws music or something playing since it's the Titanic. Dun-dun, dun-dun. All right, let's see. I think everyone seems to be getting there. Let's go ahead and go to our first one there, if we may. Let's get this party started. Doot, doot. How's it going back there? Uh-oh. Pause for station identification. Okay, here we go. Now we're ready. What year did the Titanic sink? All right, was it 1910, 1911, 1909, 1912? I know none of you were there around when it happened. When did the Titanic sink? You guys think 1912? Wow, we got a smart group here. At least the majority of you. Yes, 1912 is the right answer there. Bones in first place. Bones. Phalanges. All right, well done. All right, next question. What was the Titanic's destination on its maiden voyage? Where was it headed on that fateful journey? New York City, Boston, Charleston, or Newark? Where was the ship headed? You guys think New York City. You guys know your facts here. Yes, New York City. Well done. Bones staying in first place. Captain Cass, apropos there with captain of the Titanic. All right, what was the how many people were on board the Titanic during its maiden voyage? How many people? 28, 54, 33, 45, 38, 76, or 22, 24? This one's probably just a guess for most of you. Okay, you guys think somewhere in the 3,000s. Actually, I think this one was a 2,000, maybe 22, 24. Yes, 2,224 people were on the Titanic during its maiden voyage. Mr. Bones there, or Mrs. Bones, still in first place. What was the temperature of the water when the Titanic sank? This is next level trivia here. How cold was it? A frigid. Don't let go, Jack. All right, you guys think it was 26 degrees Fahrenheit. I think it was 28 degrees, if I remember. Yes, 28 degrees Fahrenheit. Mr. Bowen still in first place there, but the postman is catching up. How much did the Titanic cost to build? Was it 7 million, 8.5 million, 7.5 million, or 8 million? How much dinero? This is an American currency. Ready? All right, you guys think it was 7 or 7.5? I believe 7.5 is the right answer. Uh-oh, and the postman. I got to believe that's a Eid. Is that a Jason? Oh, boy, Jason in the first place. That's all we need around here is Jason thinking he wins. The Titanic was equipped to hold 64 lifeboats, but how many did it actually have? Did it have 35, 30, 20, or 25 boats? This made all the difference in the world in the amount of survivors. All right, you guys think 30 boats. Can you believe it is actually a measly 20 boats that the Titanic had compared to what it could hold. And that's where the tragedy sets in here, because the lifeboat capacity was 40 to 65 people. How many were on the first lifeboat? How many people got on that first lifeboat? 30, 33, 28, or 17? Wow, Mrs. Lefevre in second place there. All right, you guys think it was 17. Close but no cigar. 28 people, actually. 28 people were on that first lifeboat. So not only was there not many lifeboats, but they did not fill them to capacity. Sad story. At least how many people lost their lives when the Titanic sunk? At least 750, at least 100, at least 500, at least 1,500. How many people do you think lost their lives on the Titanic? Sad story. You guys think at least 1,500, and the answer is yes, 1,500. Tragedy, very, very much. Ben, oh, out of nowhere, Benny hitting that first place. How many dogs survived the sinking? This is actually a bright spot to the story. There's some dogs who survived the sinking of the Titanic. All the dog lovers out there. Was it 2, 5, 4, 3? You guys think that it was 3 dogs. I believe it was 4. Oh, no, it was 3. Yes, 3 dogs. Well done. Mr. Postman back in first place there. Well done. Well done. Okay, I think this is, what year did the Titanic sink? Oh, we did that one. That was the first one. All right, so the winner after 5 minutes here, Mr. Postman. Give it up for Mr. Eid there. Woo! Yes.
Good morning, good morning. How is everyone? I wonder if we would have done better if it was about the actual movie.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, Jack and Rose, I don't know.
My question would have been, was there room on that board for Jack?
Right, but for those of you that know, would you have done better with the first half or the second half if you had both VHSs? Anyways, good morning, everyone. My name is Sonia, and I'm here with E, and we just want to welcome you here to Forward Point, where we are a community of faith, hope, and love, helping people find their purpose. Because we believe you were created on purpose. For a purpose. And we want to be part of that story any way we can.
Absolutely. And if you're new here to Forward Point, we want to give you a special welcome this morning, and we were hoping at some point maybe you were able to get a free package, a free gift from us. If you haven't, it's quite all right. Right outside these doors, at some point before you leave today, we have a welcome table that's right there. Feel free to speak to them. It's a good way to connect with us as well. They're lovely people back there, and they'll be able to give it to you before you go. Over the 75 minutes or so as we go through this gathering this morning, we want you to participate any way you feel comfortable. So make sure you grab some coffee, make sure you grab some water, make sure you grab some popcorn, and welcome.
He mentioned about getting connected. We have many ways to do that this morning. First and foremost, if you pull out your cell phone, you can scan our new QR code or text the word welcome to 315-883-2213. That'll bring you to our digital connection card. Just allows us to get a little more information from you and to send you another small thing in the mail. Who doesn't love to get snail mail? I sure do. And again, Join us on social media platforms, Twitter, X, Instagram, Twitter and X, sorry, X and Facebook. We are on all of those platforms. Sharing a story, a like, a comment, you can get involved in someone else's life and encourage them to get here. And lastly, downloading our Church Center app is a great way to get involved, to stay connected. We have a lot of things coming up for the fall season, life groups and breakfasts, and all of the things are starting to kick back off. So we do encourage you to get that downloaded today.
Absolutely. And we have here the food trucks are still continuing. That's a good thing, a bonus in September. So the name of the food truck this Friday is Soup R Smash Brothers. I had to say that very deliberately because
Yes.
my accent when I was saying it earlier did not sound like that. But it's what the name implies is soup, which varies throughout the day, and smash burgers. And I was looking through the menu and it actually looked very, very good.
Ooh,
So I'm a
I'm
little excited.
excited.
Oh, yeah.
We haven't had a bad one yet, I don't think. No. So very exciting. And my favorite time of the year, we start back up our breakfasts. Woo! Where are the ladies at?
All right,
Come
man.
on. All right, a little better, a little better.
All right, man. Let's try that again one more time. Wow. I think we're ready for this season. Wow.
Oh, I feel. All right, well, with that being said, the second Saturday of every month, we have a breakfast. The women meet at 9 a.m. at the Doyle's house on the corner of Sunnycrest and Hickok. Again, you can sign up for that and find that in the Church Center app, the date, the time, the where, the list of who's bringing what. If you have any questions on that, please feel free to ask one of us.
And the men meet at Love Handles at 9 o'clock, and we just want you to bring your appetite. Bring your appetite, some chance to fellowship with some men and just talk and meet people. It's a great time.
Always. And with that being said, we are ready to release the kiddos. Ms. Kiwi is in the back, ready to take you up. We'll continue with our gathering. Thank you so much.
So last week we started off on a little bit of a somber note. We ended on a somber note with the passing of Dean and sharing that story with you. And as would happen this week, we had another one of those events that kind of make us hold those that we love a little closer and a little tighter with the school shooting in Minneapolis. And I wanted to just share with you a quick little clip of one of the young men that they were interviewing there after the event.
It was like shots fired, and then we kind of like got under the pews. It kind of they shot through the stained glass windows, I think, and it was really scary. It was like right beside me. I was like 2 seats away from the stained glass windows, so they were like the shots were like right next to me.
That's scary.
Yeah.
You went under the pew after that happened?
Yeah, and
Is
then
that
I
what
got.
everyone tried to do?
I think I got like gunpowder on my neck. My friend got hit in the back.
Did he go to the hospital?
Yeah, he went to the hospital.
What went through your mind when you saw that?
I was super scared for him, but I think now he's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get reunited with your parents? And
Yeah, my mom was waiting outside of the church when it happened.
Yeah.
And then
What was it like seeing her?
I was super happy because, like, I was scared that I wasn't going to see her because I didn't know what was happening, really. I was just in shock.
When you heard the shots, what went through your head?
I was like, the first one, I was like, what is that? I thought it was just something. Then when I heard it again, I just ran under the pew. And then I covered my head. My friend Victor, like, saved me, though, because he laid on top of me, but he got hit. It was, like, maybe, like, 3 minutes in, the first shot fired. And then the police were really good because they showed up really quick. We've never practiced it in the church, though, only in school.
What do you want to say to your friend who helped protect you?
He's really brave, and I hope he's good in the hospital.
And what do you want to say to everyone that had to go to the hospital?
I hope you're okay, and I'm praying for you.
So we start school this week here in New York, and it's hard to imagine that anybody at fifth grade would have to endure that kind of situation. But to see the kind of selflessness that would come out of a fellow's classmate in a fifth grade scenario to lay on somebody else, that's kind of the greater love has no one than this, and they be willing to lay down their lives for their brother, their sister, and to see that exemplified in kids and knowing how much we love at our house, the Doyle clan, love our kids, and I'm sure you love your kids. There's something special and something very impactful when it comes to our children. And here at Forward Point, last week we talked about our Forward Point ministry here, and as we look to move into our own space and some of the things that it would entail to be there, potentially having to go to 2 gathering times, well, we need to really think about having people involved in our KidMin. So this morning is just another opportunity. If you haven't had the chance yet, we would love to start a conversation with you, what it would look like to be involved with KidMin. Miss Kylia runs an awesome organization up there as they do different things for different ages, and they have hopes to be able to expand the ages of kids that they have up there, but we can't do it with our current team, so we need your help. It's not a commitment to be up there every single week. She's trying to work it out where it's just a 1 week a month commitment to be up there. So texting the number there on the screen doesn't commit you and have you sign away your life for the rest of your time here in Eastwood, but it just starts a conversation of what it might look like for you to be a part of what's happening up there and being a part of raising amazing kids who act selflessly, who love Jesus. And one of the things that I love about the effects it's had on our kids, Litley, she goes around and she's always no stranger. She goes up to and just asks them, do you know Jesus? And that's not something that we practice as a family. It's just something that she learned being a part of KidMin here, and always whoever she meets is the first question she asks, do you know Jesus? And sometimes it gets us in awkward situations, and other times there's people who just love on her and think she's the cutest thing. But there's awesome things happening up there, and we would love for you to be a part of it. This morning we talked about the Titanic. Who here has been on a cruise before? Anybody been on a cruise? Is about 2 years ago that the Doyle crew went on a cruise, and unfortunately Chazlet was sick the whole time. She wasn't a big fan. But these ships, man, they're amazing. This was us departing from the port there. This is the Brooklyn Bridge that we're going under. You can see how massive this ship is, and it's just this amazing experience to know that you could fit that many people on a boat. And thankfully we had plenty of lifeboats just in case, but we didn't need them. And what an amazing experience to be on this big moving thing in the water. And of course, no Sunday morning is complete without some kind of video from Litley doing what she does. We had, the drink plan where you got unlimited pina coladas and whatever this drink was. I forget what this drink was. Obviously non-alcoholic. We're not that progressive. We weren't taking communion on the regular there at the cruise ship, but she was having a great time. The kids loved their drinks. They ordered them all the time. This was the Titanic. This was the original ship. This was the ship that they thought couldn't be brought down. It was impenetrable. I think the tagline was something like, not even God can bring this ship down, something like that. And now this is currently where the Titanic is resting. It was an iceberg that brought down the Titanic. Now, compared that cruise ship that we were on to the Titanic, this is the difference there that you see between the two kinds of ships. So you can only imagine 100 years ago, they thought the Titanic, man, was this massive, God can't bring down kind of ship. And here we are today making these ships that are exponentially bigger than that. But it was this little itty bitty iceberg that brought down that Titanic ship. And here's the thing about icebergs. You probably know this already, but icebergs, it's not about what you see on the surface. It's about what is going down below. They say it's about 10%. 10% of an iceberg is what you see above. The remaining 90% is what is going on down below, right? There's a lot more underneath the surface that's way more important than the 10% that we see above. It was the 90% below the surface that brought down this impenetrable, unsinkable ship called the Titanic. And as we make this turn into the Sermon on the Mount that Jesus has been talking about, we've been up to this point really focusing on that, what's going on inside, in our mind, our soul, and our spirit. There's this place where, thoughts begin to form, that it's there that things begin to happen that lead to our beliefs and that will lead to our actions. And he's going to make a switch here in the Sermon on the Mount to start talking about, as we begin to live out these things, as you seek to become a disciple, as you want to be more like me, right? It's been what's going on in your mind. And now we're going to focus on some habits. And these habits are things that have to be done in private. Because it's what happens inside. It's what's going on underneath the surface that's really what's important. So chapter 6 of Matthew, he starts off this way. He says, so be especially careful when you're trying to be good so that you don't make a performance out of it. It might be good theater, but the God who made you won't be applauding. This is from the Message translation. It's one of those things where we probably read that, and we all probably know people who kind of, sometimes it kind of feels like it's a little bit of a show, right? Sometimes it kind of feels it's a little bit more like they're going through some motions, and they're doing a lot of things just based off it's the way it's always been done, or a script, or so people can see them. And Jesus says, in this discipleship journey, which we are set out to live, be careful that you don't make a performance of it. Because just like the iceberg there in the Titanic, discipleship is about what happens privately, not publicly. Discipleship is about what's going on underneath the surface, not above the surface. Above the surface is really just a small part of our walk with God. Really, the discipleship process happens privately underneath the surface. So he says, you know what? Be careful when you're trying to be good. As followers of Christ, this should be something that we all strive for. In fact, Jesus says that this is not like, hey, if you want to try to be good, begin to do these things that we're going to look at. No, he says, when you're trying to be good, like it's natural for us to want to be good in our discipleship process, in being more like Jesus. But he's going to make this shift in that being good is not about sin management. It's not about keeping track of making sure you don't do the things you're not supposed to, or making sure you do the things that you are supposed to, and definitely make sure you don't do them in front of everybody to put on a show, because that's not what it's all about, he says. He says these things that we're about to go over, that I'm about to share with you, these things are designed to be done privately, because there is a natural tendency for these things to turn into performances. There's a natural tendency for these things to turn into a script that you just kind of recite week after week, month after month. There's these tendencies for these things to turn into a show. And he says, be very careful. In fact, this phrase, trying to be good, is the same word righteousness that we've been looking at since the beginning of the Sermon on the Mount. And again, righteousness, for the most part, has always kind of been chalked up as making sure that you do good. But righteousness is really this idea that we're owning and taking responsibility for our relationship with God, our relationship with our neighbors, with the people around us, and taking ownership of them having a relationship with God. Right? That we would live in such a way where they would want to ask us, hey, tell us about your life and why it's so different. And in fact, you have this, little triangle that if we were to draw, you would see this work out this way, where we have God, us, and our neighbor. It's not going to work out very well, right? These three things together work out our righteousness. This is what righteousness is about. These things, it's not about you sinning less than you did a week before, or a year before, or when you were a kid. It's not about sin management. It's all about our relationship. And he says, be careful when you're trying to be good so that you don't make a performance. So this doesn't become something that you just go through the motions, right? So that just doesn't become a 10% kind of above the surface life for you. Because with all my heart, Ford Point, I believe that the reason that Christianity and following Jesus has lost its position in our culture is because a lot of people have just relied on their faith being 10%. The part that people see above the surface. And we've lost the intentionality to focus on what's going on below the surface. What's happening when nobody else is watching or looking. And that part we don't really need to worry about. It's really not a big deal, because if our faith is just a matter of making sure we get out of hell, just kind of a social status with the people that we do life with, then all that matters is the 10%. All that matters is what's happening publicly above the surface. But Jesus is going to challenge us in 3 specific areas to make sure that our hearts is in it for the right reasons, that we're doing these things for the right reason. And he says the best way to guard against these things, these pillars of becoming a disciple, is to do them privately. Is to do them in a way where no one is watching, no one is looking, so that you can guard yourself from these things just naturally drifting to performances. Because on their own, left to themselves, they will inevitably just drift into a ritual, into a performance, into just saying the right things at the right times because that's what you're supposed to do. So the first area that he tells us to really focus on, he says, when you do something for someone else, don't call attention to yourself. Some translations like the NIV might say, when you give to the needy, when you give to those in need. For me, I just sum this up by saying, when you give out, we talked about last week, like, who is my neighbor? And we established that neighbor is really anybody who's in proximity to us, that we're owning that relationship, that we're growing our neighborhoods, not by building more houses in proximity to where we lay our heads down to sleep, but just by where we work, where we eat, where we live. Anybody that we come in contact with, we are now owning them as part of our neighborhood. We're in relationship with them. So when they have a need, and we meet that need, Jesus says, be very careful not to do it publicly, to not make a big show out of it. When you're giving out and helping these people, when we decide not if we want to help people, because remember, this is not Jesus saying, hey, if you decide in your heart that you want to start helping people, if you want to start this lifestyle of giving to those in need and meeting the needs that you see, then do it privately. He says, no, in discipleship, in becoming more like me, when you give to those in need, when you do something for someone else, don't call attention to yourself. Don't make a big show out of it. Don't send out press releases, right? In our culture, we'd probably say, don't take pictures of it and post it on social media, right? Don't make it in such a way where it's just a show. He says, because you've seen people like that in action, right? Play actors. The NIV calls them hypocrites. A hypocrite actually comes from this word that references and means people who we use it as far as thinking like people who miss the mark, right? People who, they believe one thing but do something else. But the reality is the word hypocrite is from this play acting where someone who puts on a face that's not their own, right? Who someone intentionally, deliberately decides to put on a persona or act in such a way that is not true to who they are. And Jesus says they're play actors, they're hypocrites. Treating prayer meeting and street corners alike as a stage, acting compassionate as long as someone is watching, playing to the crowds. As long as the camera is there rolling, then they're willing to do that. I remember growing up in church, my experience as far as like giving on a Sunday morning. What we would do is we would have these golden plates that had this really nice red felt in it. I don't know if you've experienced these. And we would pass them down the aisles, right? And some people would put money in there as it's going by, and other people would kind of like, scrounge around just to see what they had in there. And sometimes the plate would pass in front of me, and there'd be like little lint balls in there and all sorts of weird objects. Sometimes people were taking stuff out of the plate as it was passing, right? But it was kind of this show that people would go through. When online giving became a more prevalent thing in churches, some people didn't like online giving to the point that they created these cards so that they could put cards in the plate as it was passing, right? If there was someone who gave online, there were these cards that they would have on the chairs that you could put in the plate as it passed so people knew that you still gave. Why? Because it was a show. It was something that we wanted people to see. This particular organization at one point sold these cards for $15. Now they're giving away for free. But that's where it had gotten to. That's how it had naturally devolved in, that giving had just become a show. And people had to have some kind of item to put in the plate so that everyone would know that they are givers. Why? Because they were concerned about what people saw publicly. They were concerned about the 10%, the above the surface. And Jesus says, hey, when you give, be it to church, when you give to the people around you in need, when you're doing good things, do it in such a way where it's behind the scenes. Do it in such a way where, people aren't taking note of it, where it's not being produced publicly. And this can be a real hard line, right? Because we own Love Handles, and Love Handles is this business that we're trying to grow this brand. And a big part of our business model is the fact that we give away a portion of all of the money that comes in. So if you go into Love Handles and you walk down the hallway to the bathrooms, you'll see us on the wall there. We have all the different letters of thanks that organizations have given us. And it's for us, we've kind of drawn this line, is for us, it's an invitation for people to join us rather than this look at me and what we're doing. And here's the hard part between the two is you and I from the outside, we can't judge somebody's heart and somebody's motive. And what Jesus is doing here is he's not giving us tools to be able to judge other people's hearts and other people's motives. But what he is doing is he's giving us some tools to judge our own hearts and motive. Right? He's kind of pointing the finger at us and asking us, hey, when you do this, what is going on inside of you? What is the reason? What is the heart behind it? Is it for the public 10% for people to see? Or is it for the private 90% that nobody sees? And he says, hey, when you do this, you're going to want to do this privately. Otherwise, this is going to turn into a real sticking point down your discipleship journey. Because it's going to get harder and harder because technology allows for online giving, because of all sorts of other reasons that we would choose. And he wants us to guard our hearts. He definitely wants us to invite other people, hey, join me in reaching out to our community and meeting needs that we see. But do it in such a way where it doesn't become a show. Because when you do, he says, they get applause, true. But that's all that they get. When you help someone out, don't think about how it looks. Just do it quietly and unobtrusively. That is the way your God, who conceived you in love, working behind the scenes, helps you out. He says, when you do it for the show, you're going to get applause, but guess what? That's your reward, the applause that you got. Maybe the 25 or the 50 likes, or maybe the viral status that you got as a result of publicly showing off your giving. But he says, your reward stops there. However, if you choose this lifestyle of privately, behind the scenes, then I'm going to reward you. His promise, his commitment is that he's going to reward you. And he says, I guarantee you that God's reward is so much better than any kind of reward that you can get here from the people around you. And that's kind of hard for us, because most of the time we're all about instant gratification. We're about the drive-through window. We're about the ding from the microwave, right? We want our money now. And this is counterculture to that instant gratification. And he says, man, if you can just pause and wait on me, I promise you, what I have in store for you as a result of this lifestyle is going to be way better than anything that you can muster up there on earth. So if your heart becomes and begins to falter into just for the show, he says, then that's going to be your reward. You got it. And that's all you get. And he goes on, he says, and when you come before God, don't turn into a theatrical production either. All these people making a regular show out of their prayers, hoping for 15 minutes of fame. Do you think God sits in a box seat? Right? At first, if it was us giving to those in need and giving out, this is us giving up. This is prayer to God. And he says, when you pray, don't make a prayer of it. First, when you give, don't make a big spectacle out of it. Now, when you pray, don't make a big spectacle out of it. Because what was going on in that culture is it was just a big show when it came to prayer time. Similarly to the Muslim faith, if you're familiar with certain times throughout the day, they have to pull out their mat and they get down, and wherever they are, they're supposed to go through the prayer motions. Well, the same thing was true in this culture. They had different prayer times, and what people would do is work out the timing where they wouldn't make it to temple in time for prayer. They just happened to be in the town square where everybody was. And, I got to pull out my mat, and I'm going to pray right here in front of everybody, and everybody's going to see how spiritual I am. And it had just turned into a show. It just turned into going through these motions in a way where everybody would see and they would look spiritual. And Jesus says, when you pray, when you're giving up to God, don't do it out in front of everybody. In fact, this is what he says. He says, here's what I want you to do. When it comes to prayer, he says, I want you to find a quiet, secluded place so you won't be tempted to role play before God. There's that acting idea, that hypocrite idea again. Just be there as simply and honestly as you can manage. The focus will shift from you to God, and you will begin to sense his grace. Right? The focus will begin to shift from you to God. When I think about our prayers, most of the time we pray not to grow in our relationship with God, but because we need something. There's a sickness, there's a flat tire, there's some kind of issue that we're facing, and our first response is to pray, because prayer has just become a ask God for things kind of experience. But Jesus is saying, in discipleship, when you want to be more like me, prayer is a part of that. Not if you want to pray, but prayer is a part of it. And not just going through pre-written prayers, but in growing this relationship, it's about saying what's on your heart, about what you're feeling and being open and vulnerable. I'm surprised. I grew up in church, so it probably strikes me as strange because this has been the only world I've ever known, really. But for most people, they do not like praying out loud. For most people, if I ask them, hey, to pray, it's similar to, the greatest fear that people have is what? Public speaking, or get in front of people and speaking. And for a lot of people, that's the same kind of fear that they get for praying out loud. And Jesus says, prayer was designed not to be something that's done. It can be done in public, and we do it all the time in public. But for the true heart behind prayer is for you to get alone with God and to talk about what's going on in your life and to hear from him about what he wants from you. In fact, he's going to tell us how to pray, and we're going to dive into that next week. He gives us what's most commonly known as the Lord's Prayer, and we're going to dive into that probably for a few weeks. We're going to skip over it today because we're focusing on this idea that he's calling us to do it in private. He's calling us to do it behind the scenes when nobody's looking. And he's calling us to do it more than just when we need things, because the idea is that it shifts the focus from us to God. It shifts the focus from our prayer of, God, would you go get that person who's wronged me and done me wrong, to God begins to say, hey, what's going on inside of you? What's happening in your heart where this would cause you to act the way that you're acting? And that may be a big part of the reason why we don't pray for things beyond just what we want. Because inevitably, as that happens, where the focus goes from us to God, it's a little frustrating. Because God, man, I wanted my pound of flesh, or God, I wanted my eye for an eye. And now you're asking me to forgive, or now you're, having this guilt because of the way that I feel. So he says, in this relationship, we grow through talking with one another. And what's happened is a lot of people just do it to put on a show. A lot of people just do it to make themselves look spiritual. I'm sure many of us have heard people when they pray and they have these big, dramatic, words that are multiple syllables and we don't even know what they mean. And not to judge and say that that's a show, but sometimes that's what it resorts to, is just being a big show. And he says, the world is full of so-called prayer warriors who are actually just prayer ignorant. They're full of formulas and programs and advice, peddling techniques for getting what you want from God. Don't fall for that nonsense. This is your Father you are dealing with, and he knows better than you what you need. With God like this, with a God like this, loving you, you can pray very simply like this. And he goes into the Lord's Prayer. But Jesus is not saying to not pray publicly. What he is saying is to guard your heart around prayer. That the only way to make sure that what happens up here on the stage publicly, or maybe around your table at Life Group, for the 10% that people see, is to make sure that there is a 90% underneath the surface privately that's much bigger, that's much stronger, that's much deeper. That what happens here on the stage, or what happens in your life group, or what happens out on the streets is just an overflow from that 90% of what is being done privately. And that's a little sobering, to think that my outward public prayers can only be 10% of my prayers. If that were the case, how many of us would be left able to pray publicly? But Jesus says, you got to trust me on this. I know the heart of man. It's inherently wicked and evil and prone towards turning things into a show. He gives us a picture through a story when talking about prayer, about these two characters. One was a Pharisee, which is a religious leader, and one was a tax collector. It's kind of the enemy of the people. Everyone despised tax collectors because they were stealing from them. Usually Jewish people working for the Roman government, stealing their money, charging them more than what they actually owed. And he begins to describe how they're praying, the two different ones. And the Pharisee gets up and uses all sorts of grandiose words, and it's beautiful. And he talks about thanking God, I'm not like that tax collector over there. And then he begins to describe the prayer of the tax collector, and how the tax collector just very humbly goes into the corner and very soft-spoken to himself, almost ashamed. He just begins to say, God, I'm sorry for the things that I've done and who I am, and if there's any way you could look down upon me, and I'd really appreciate it. And Jesus says, guess what, to all the people? Guess who's prayer is accepted. Guess who is found to be righteous in God's eyes? And he says it's the tax collector. Here, he makes public enemy number one as the hero of prayer. Because inevitably, it's just natural for prayer to become a show if we allow it. And we don't want to allow it. I've been a part of some churches where every week you just went through the same, we would call liturgy, where it's just kind of a script. And for some people, that's what they need. But God's heart for our relationship with him is not for it to be scripted. It's to be this very intimate relationship, and ministry and meeting the needs of the people in our community comes out of an intimate relationship with him, not a script of what worked for other people in other situations. He says about prayer, he says, in prayer there is a connection between what God does and what you do. You can't get forgiveness from God, for instance, without also forgiving others. If you refuse to do your part, you cut yourself off from God's part. Right? This is the deep work that is supposed to be happening behind the scenes. And for much of Christianity today, the work of Christianity happens on a Sunday morning for an hour and 15 minutes. Maybe an hour and a half if I'm really long-winded. Right? That's what we rely for the deep work of our lives to be happening. And he says the deep work is designed to be happening elsewhere. In your room, in your yard, anywhere that you can get away and just talk with God. And for many of us, I'm sure that sounds like a very intimidating idea. I know for myself, man, I tear about all the time having phantom butt feels and wrist feels because I'm waiting for the, next message to come, for the next little dopamine hit to come as a result of some kind of notification that I'm important, that someone wants to talk to me. So the idea of setting those things aside and just kind of disconnecting. I have some friends here who go to these silence chambers, right? Where these places where you just kind of float on salt water. And it's just this chamber where you're designed to not have anything but silence and darkness. And I think that sounds like a nightmare. Because I'm the kind of person who always wants some kind of noise in the background. If you were to follow me for a day, you would see, my phone is constantly playing a podcast, or on Sunday mornings, I have my ritual. I play this one song over and over and over again as I'm getting ready. Like there's always noise going on in the background. So they tell me this and I think, oh my gosh, that sounds like torture. I would reveal any secret that I had if I was put in that kind of situation. And these guys talk about doing it for like an hour. And I'm like, I can't even get from the front door to my car without, hurry up, I gotta turn on the ignition so something starts playing. So there's a progression to it. There's some baby steps. There's some, you just don't jump into an hour. You gotta start small, but it's not a question of if you wanna do this. Jesus is saying when you do this, start off small. Set small, little attainable steps for yourself, but begin to develop what is going on privately in your life. Because when you develop this 90%, what's underneath the surface, this private lifestyle, then you will never have to worry about anything that goes on in your public life. You will be above reproach. Because this private 90% of your life will keep you anchored, will keep you grounded in how you're called to live. It will keep it from becoming a show, because there's no power, you got your reward. The public gratification and the public applause that you got, there is the reward. And for some people, that is the reward that they were looking for. And I could tell you story after story of people who've gotten into some really high positions in faith and religion and Christianity as a result of their charisma, as a result of us kind of throwing ourselves at them and giving them this platform where they're amazing. And the 10% that we saw publicly wound up being actually all that was really to them. And they stumbled and they faltered and they failed. So Jesus says, when you help out the people around you, when you talk with me, when you give up, when you give out, and lastly, he tells us about this third area that we're called to do, and to do it publicly, and it's this idea of giving over. He says, if you go into training inwardly, act normal outwardly. Shampoo and comb your hair, brush your teeth, wash your face. God doesn't require attention-getting devices. He won't overlook what you are doing. He'll reward you well. Right? He says when you go into this life of sacrifice, in some translations it probably says fasting. When you begin to fast, this process of withholding things from yourself to grow in relationship with him, to deepen your relationship. When you do these things, what had happened in that day is people would put on quite the show. You would think they were playing a part of some kind of homeless character for a movie, because they would put on these clothes that were grabby. They would, put on dirt all over their face, and they would make themselves look like they were, straining so hard for their relationship with God. In that culture, the Jewish people were called to fast 2 times a week. Can you imagine that, going 2 days out of your week without eating? Again, I am not a great person to look to for fasting food. I can do really well waking up and probably till about lunchtime, but then from lunchtime on, I am just constantly eating different things. So the thought of having to give up food for 2 days a week, again, it frightens me. But he says, not if you do this, but when you do this. And for you and I, it may be food, it may be Facebook, it may be our phones. But the idea here that Jesus has given us is when you want to really grow this 90% below the surface that nobody sees, give up some things. Make it a regular practice to give up some things. It may be that you need to give up some money because money has a real tight hold on you. It may be that you need to give up your phone. It may be that you need to give up the TV. Not for the rest of your life. But he's saying, if you want to grow this 90%, if you want to grow this private part of your life that will be able to withstand any kind of situation that you go through publicly, then make it a regular routine to sacrifice something, to go without something. And start off small. Okay, I'm not asking anybody to start a 40-day fast. But maybe you decide, I'm going to fast a meal this week. Pick a day and you're going to fast a meal. And you're going to use that time to find a private place to get away and just hear from God. Jesus says these things have got to become pillars in the life of discipleship. And by you being here this morning, there's some kind of admittance on your part that you say, I want to be more like Jesus. Maybe for you, you're just here and you're exploring. You just want to know more about him and who he says that he is. And we're grateful that you're here. For some of you, maybe that you've spent your entire life in church. But it's just been clock in and clock out type of thing. And we're glad that you're here. But for all of us, no matter where we are, Jesus this morning is saying, it's time to take your faith to another level. And I'm not talking about another level in front of people, out, where you get applause and attention and gratitude for what you've done. But it's another level deeper, actually. It's another level below the surface. And this morning, he just wants to ask, will we commit to this? Take a baby step this week to just implement these 3 areas in our faith in some kind of small way. Right? How do we give to somebody in need this week? As a family, let's get together, let's talk. Where do we see somebody in need that is in our neighborhood? That is a person within our proximity that we can meet that need. Where in our life this week can we set aside some time to just pray with God? Maybe for the first time, maybe it's just 5 minutes. And then after a couple weeks, you increase it to 10 minutes and you just start building these prayer muscles. And that 90% begins to grow and becomes an anchor. And this week, what can you just lay down as a sacrifice to God? What can you say, God, I'm going to give this over to you. What would normally fulfill me, sustain me, what would normally give me a dopamine rush, I'm going to choose to lay down so that I can use that time to ask God, what do you want to do with me? What do you want from me? What is going on inside of me? Where do you want to take me? Well, where do we need to go? Because Forward Point, this 90% that's below the surface that nobody sees, if that is not bigger than the 10% that people see publicly, then we're going to be a people who constantly walk in fear. We're never able to step out into the areas that God is calling us that are scary, that require faith. We're constantly just going to be a people who rely on America having been founded on Christian principles, and we're going to fight to politically have that for the rest of our lives. But I believe that there is a time that's coming, and it may be closer than we think, where our faith can't be dependent on our rights as American citizens, but it's going to be our 90% below the surface that nobody sees as citizens of heaven. And it's in that we are going to be able to meet the needs of people in Eastwood and Syracuse, and I believe be a part of something amazing that God is going to do. And we don't need a law for that. We don't need the right person in the office for that, because we already have the right person in office in the kingdom of heaven. So this morning, the challenge is for these three areas: in our giving out, in our giving up, that we would sacrifice. God, we're so grateful that there was no thing that you would not be willing to do for us. That just like that little boy in the shooting who laid upon his friend, you would be that guy jumping to lay on top of us. One, yes, because you love us, you care for us, but two, because you're trying to teach us, you're trying to show us how we then in turn go and live for the people around us. Not just our family members, not just our fellow church members, God, but for every person in proximity to us that's a part of our neighborhood, that we would be the ones who go running in when everyone else is running out. So God, this morning, would you help us to look at what's below the surface? Would you bring us face to face with the reality that for most of us, there's a good chance that what is above the surface far outweighs what's below the surface. And if push came to shove, if the curtain was rolled back, there'd be a lot of embarrassment. There'd be a lot of shame because we put on a really good show and decorated things publicly for people to see, but privately there was no substance. So God, would you help us this morning to begin this journey where we take these three areas of our life: our giving, our praying, our fasting. God, we would desire to make these pillars of this discipleship process of becoming more like you, because that is our heart's desire, to be more like you. So begin to, as we respond to you this morning through singing, God, would you begin to just place on our heart just small little steps, small little areas, and maybe we have to put them in our notes app, maybe we have to write them down, but these are going to be some things that this week that we're just going to begin to flex these muscles. Because we want to be part of being your hands and feet here in our community. And that can only happen when what is beneath the surface far outweighs the public life above the surface that everybody sees. Help us to be people of integrity. No more play acting, no more hypocrites, no more living for the applause or the attention, the fame. But God, being people who are real and authentic. So would you begin this work in us this morning?
I climb mountains if the mountains were where you hide. Oh, how far I scale the valleys if you graced the other side. Oh, how long have I chased rivers from lonely seas to where they rise against the rush of grace descending from the source of its supply. 'Cause in the highlands and the heartache, neither more nor less inclined. You would search and stop at nothing. You're just not that hard to find. Whoa, I will praise you on the mountain. I will praise you in the mountains in my way. You're the summit where my feet are. So I will praise you in the valleys all the same. No less God within the shadows, no less faithful when the night leads me astray. 'Cause you're the heaven where my heart is, in the highlands and the heartache all the same. Whoa, oh, how far beneath your glory does your kindness extend the path where your feet rest on the sunrise to where you sweep the sinner's past. Oh, how fast would you come running just to shadow me through the night, trace my steps through all my failures and walk me out the other side. For who could dare ascend the mountain, the valley hill called Calvary, before the one conquered shepherd who like a lamb was slain for me? And whoa, I will praise you on the mountain, and I will praise you in the mountains in my way. With the summit where my feet are, I will praise you in the valleys all the same. There's no less God within the shadows. He's no less faithful when the night leads me astray. 'Cause you're the heaven where my heart is. You're the highlands and the heartache all the same. Whoa, oh, whatever I walk through, wherever I am, your name come over mountains, wherever I stand. And if ever I walk through the valley of death, I'll swim the shadows of my sin. Oh, wherever I walk through, wherever I am, your name come over mountains, wherever I stand. If ever I walk through the valley of death, I'll sing of the shadows, my song of ascent, my song of ascent. Whoa, my song of ascent. Whoa, from the grave comes a pasture we call grace, a mighty river flowing upwards from a deep but empty grave. Whoa, and I will praise you on the mountain, and I will praise you when the mountain's in my way. You're the summit where my feet are. So I will praise you in the valley, you're the same. There's no less God within the shadow. There's no less faithful when the night leads me astray. Cause you're the heaven where my heart is. In the highlands and the heartache all the same. I will praise you on the mountains. I will praise you in the mountains in my way. You're the summit where my feet are. Let's praise you in the valleys all the same. He's no less God when the shadows. He's no less faithful when the night leads me astray. Cause you're the heaven where my heart is. In the highlands and the heartache go the same. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Do you just have some of those weeks where, like, a lot of ups and downs, kind of like the stock market? That song spoke to me so much this week because I was sharing with Joe out in the lobby that, you know, it's so interesting how we tend to praise God when we're on the mountaintop, and yet we, you know, in essence, curse Him in the valley. Where are you? And even though I think those emotions are real, and I'm not saying to ignore them, I feel like God wants to bring us up to another level, a new maturity in Him. Because He's no less there when you feel that He's distant. He's no less there when you feel like He's not working. Even when there's sadness and tragedy around us. We may not understand. I definitely don't. But I'm going to trust Him and realize that He's the God of the highlands and the heartaches.
I need you to soften my heart, to break me apart. I need you to open my eyes, to see that you're shaping my life. All I am, all I am, I surrender. I surrender. Give me faith, oh, to trust what you say, that you're good and your love is great. I'm broken inside, I give you my life. I need you. I need you, oh, to soften my heart, to break me apart. And I need you to pierce through the dark and cleanse every part of me. All I am, and all I am, oh, I surrender. Give me faith to trust what you say, that you're good and your love is great. That I'm broken inside, I give you my life. 'Cause I may be weak, 'cause I may be weak, but your spirit's strong in me. My flesh may fail, 'cause my God, you never will. 'Cause I may be weak, but your spirit's strong in me. My flesh may fail, My God, you never will. 'Cause I may be weak, oh, but your spirit's strong in me. My flesh may fail, but my God, you never will. 'Cause I may be weak, oh, but your spirit's strong in me. My flesh may fail, but my God, you never will. Give me faith, oh, to trust what you say, that you're good and your love is great. I'm broken inside, I give you my life. Sing it again, give me faith. Give me faith, oh, to trust what you say, that you're good and your love is great. I'm broken inside, I give you my life. I give you my life, I give you my life. I give you my life. When I walk through deep waters, I know that you will be with me. When I'm standing in the fire, I will not be overcome. Through the valley of the shadow, I will not fear, 'cause I am not alone. I am not alone. You will go before me. You will never leave me. I am not alone. Oh, I am not alone. You will go before me. You will never leave me. In the midst of deep sorrow, I see the light is breaking through. The dark of night, it will not overtake me. I am pressing into you. Lord, you fight my every battles. I will not fear, 'cause I am not alone. I am not alone. You will go before me. You will never leave me. I am not alone. I am not alone. You will go before me. You will never sing it again. 'Cause I am not alone. I am not alone. You will go before me. You will never leave me. I am not alone. Yes, I am not alone. You will go before me. You will never leave me. You amaze me. You amaze me. You redeem me. You call me as your own. You amaze me. Redeem me. You call me as you own. You amaze me. Redeem me. You call me as your own. You amaze me. Redeem me. You call me as your own. You're my strength. You're my defender. You're my refuge in the storm. Through these trials, you've always been faithful. You bring healing to my soul. 'Cause I am not alone. 'Cause I am not alone. 'Cause you will go before me. You will never leave me. I am not alone. 'Cause I am 'cause I am not alone, I am not alone. You will go before me, you will never leave me. Than the mountains that I face, stronger than the power of the grave, constant in the trials and the change. One thing remains, let me hear ya. One thing remains. Your love never fails, it never gives up, it never runs out on me. Your love never fails, it never gives up, it never runs out on me. Oh, your love never fails, it never gives up, it never runs out on me. Oh, your love. And on and on and on and on it goes, and it overwhelms and satisfies my soul. And I never ever have to be afraid. One thing remains. One thing remains. Your love never fails and never gives up. It never runs out on me. Oh, your love never fails, it never gives up, it never runs out on me. Oh, your love never fails, it never gives up, it never runs out on me. Oh, your love. In death, in life, I'm confident and covered by the power of your great love. My debt is paid, oh, there's nothing that can separate my heart from your great love. Sing it again. In death, oh, in life, I'm confident and covered by the power of your great love. Oh, my debt is paid, and there's nothing that can separate my heart from your great love. Your love never fails, it never gives up, it never runs out on me. Oh, your love never fails, it never gives up, it never runs out on me. Oh, your love never fails, it never gives up, it never runs out on me. Oh, your love. Sing it again. Your love. Your love never fails, it never gives up, it never runs out on me. Oh, your love never fails, it never gives up, it never runs out on me. Oh, your love never fails, it never gives up, it never runs out on me. Oh, your love. Sing with me. I am not alone. I'm not alone. 'Cause I am not alone. 'Cause you will go before me. You will never leave me. 'Cause I am not alone. I am not alone. 'Cause you will go before me. You will never. Sing it again. And I am not alone. Oh, I am not alone. You will go before me. You will never leave me. 'Cause I am not alone. I am not alone. go before me. You amaze me. Oh, you amaze me. You retain me, and you call me as your own. You amaze me, redeem me, and you call me as your own. Oh, you amaze me, redeem me, you call me as your own. Oh, you amaze me, redeem me, and you call me as your love. Oh, your love never fails, it never gives up, it never runs out on me. Oh, your love never fails, it never gives up, it never runs out on me. Oh, your love never fails, it never gives up, it never runs out on me. Oh, your love, 'cause we're not alone.
Hi, guys. We just want to thank you again for joining us this morning. Again, if you are new here or haven't signed in with our digital connection card, we do encourage that. You can do it by the QR code or texting the word welcome to 315-883-2213, and also downloading that Church Center app.
And if last week we kind of mentioned KidMin having that kind of interest, if you want to be a part of that, to also text the word KidMin to that same number, 315-8883-2215. And speaking of events, we do have that food truck as a reminder. We have Soup Our Smash Brothers. Definitely come out, enjoy the company, enjoy the food. It'll be a great time.
Absolutely. Again, in 2 weeks, we have our men and women's breakfast starting. Start thinking about who you want to invite with you. They may not come here, but they are welcome. So start thinking about that as those come up. If there's something heavy on your heart that we spoke about this morning, or just something going on in life, we do have our prayer team in the back that is willing to meet with you and pray with you about anything. They are confidential and great. So please utilize them if you need them.
And here at 4 Point, there's things that you've seen that you like and you really want to support and kind of invest. So that's really what I call it. When you give time of your resources and of yourself, it is an investment, and there is fruit to be had with that. There's 4 ways you can do that here at 4 Point. You can do that in person. You can give. We have a Joy Box that's located in the back. You can text any amount to 84321. You can do it on the Church Center app. You can also do it online at www.4point.org/give. All those things that you bring to 4 Point, it's definitely visible. You'll see it out there. One of the next phases that we have in our growth is our building phase. So we do have an update for that. So the thermometers, look at that. We're up to 35%.
Woo!
Give yourselves a round of applause. That's good. So those who have given, thank you so much. And those who continue to give, thank you so much. Appreciate it very much.
The Palace allows us to use this space every week, so we want to return it to them better than we found it. Many hands make the light work, so if you even have 5 minutes right after, if you want to join us in getting this place cleaned back up, meet us in the back corner closet. We'll give you some brooms, things like that, and assignments, and then we can all get out of here.
Yes, and parents, please make sure to pick up your kids. You can do that upstairs. You can check them out. And as on your way out, we do, unfortunately,
have our last Sunday fun day.
Yeah.
But it's an exciting one, so please stay after. Join us in the lobby. Let's have some fun together.
Have an awesome week, 4 Point.
Thank you so much.